What if I told you that two of India's greatest freedom fighters, men who lived and died fighting the British Empire, might have been friends? Not just friends, brothers. The kind of brothers who would walk through fire, wrestle tigers, and tear down an empire, all for each other. There is no historical record of Malli Is Taken Raju and Bheem ever meeting. They fought in different regions, in different ways, for different peoples. But director S.S. Rajamouli, the same genius who gave us Bahubali, asked one simple question. What if they had? This is RRR. Rise, Roar, Revolt. And I promise you, by the time I'm done telling you this story, you will understand why this film took the entire world by storm. So settle in, grab your coffee, and let me take you to 1920. British-occupied India. Our story begins deep in the forests of Adilabad, home to the Gond tribe, a peaceful people who live off the land, who sing songs around fires, who protect their own. And among them, there is a little girl named Malli. She's maybe 8, 9 years old. Bright eyes, a voice that could make the birds stop and listen. One day, the British governor of Delhi, a cruel, cold man named Scott Buxton, visits the forest with his wife Catherine. They're on a tour, you know, the way colonial rulers would just stroll through lands they'd stolen, admiring the scenery like it was theirs. And Catherine hears Malli sing. She hears this little girl's voice, and something twisted lights up in her eyes. She wants her. Not like a person wants to hear a beautiful song again. She wants to own her. Like a painting. Like a pet. She tells Scott, "Bring me that girl." And just like that, soldiers drag Malli away from her mother's arms. The mother screams. She claws at the soldiers, and one of them brands her hand with a hot iron for daring to resist. The tribe is devastated. Their little girl taken. Their protector, a mountain of a man named Bheem, watches this happen, and something inside him breaks. Not breaks like shattering, breaks like a dam giving way. Bheem makes a vow. He will go to Delhi, he will find Malli, and he will bring her home, no matter what it costs him. Now here's where things get interesting, because the British aren't stupid. They know someone's coming. Word travels through the intelligence network. A tribal protector is heading to Delhi. They don't know his name, they don't know his face, but they know he's dangerous. So Governor Scott puts out an open call to his officers. Whoever captures this unknown insurgent will receive a promotion and a hefty reward. And one man steps forward, a police officer named Malli Is Taken Raju. Now, Raju is no ordinary officer. He's brilliant, fearless, the kind of man who would walk into a crowd of 400 angry protesters, alone, and walk out with their leader in handcuffs. The British love him because they think he's loyal. They think he's one of them. But he's not. Oh, he's definitely not. But we'll get to that. So now the stage is set. Two men, both Indian, both fighting for freedom in their own way. One is hunting, one is hiding. And neither one of them has any idea that fate is about to smash them together in the most spectacular way imaginable. Picture this. A bridge over the Yamuna River. A train is passing overhead, and something goes horribly wrong. There's a child, a little boy, trapped on the bridge as flames engulf a derailed car. The boy falls into the raging water below. From one side of the river, Bheem sees it. He charges toward the water. From the other side, Raju sees it too. He's on a horse, racing at full speed. These two men have never met. They don't exchange a single word. But what happens next? I still get chills thinking about it. Raju grabs a rope. Bheem grabs a flag. Raju uses his horse. Bheem uses a motorcycle. and together, in perfect synchronization, like they've done this 1,000 times, they execute this insane, Tarzan-like swing across the river. Raju swings wide, Bheem catches the boy mid-air, and they land on the other side. The crowd erupts, the fire roars behind them. And then, they look at each other. Two strangers, covered in soot and river water, and they shake hands. That handshake, that single moment, it's the beginning of one of the most beautiful, heartbreaking friendships you will ever see on screen. Now, Bheem has disguised himself. He's living in Delhi under the name Akhtar, pretending to be a Muslim mechanic. Smart, right? He's got a small group of tribal men with him, loyal warriors who followed him all the way from the forests of Adilabad. They've set up a hideout, and they're quietly planning how to infiltrate the governor's mansion to rescue Malli. But Bheem needs to be careful, very careful, because the British have spies everywhere, and one wrong move could get him and all his men killed. Raju, meanwhile, has no idea that his new best friend is the very man he's been assigned to hunt down. And Bheem has no idea that his new best friend is a British police officer. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. These two are on a collision course, and neither one can see it coming. But their friendship is real. And this is where the movie does something beautiful. It takes its time. These two spend weeks together. They eat together at street stalls, sharing meals like they've known each other their whole lives. They laugh at each other's jokes. They challenge each other physically, racing, wrestling, pushing each other to be stronger. There's this montage of their friendship growing that is so warm, so genuine, that you almost forget the ticking time bomb underneath it all. Ram Charan and N.T. Rama Rao Jr. have this chemistry that just radiates off the screen. You believe every second of it. These aren't two actors pretending to be friends. You feel the love. You feel the trust. And that's exactly what makes everything that comes later so devastating. And then there's Jenny, the governor's niece. She's British, yes, but she's different. Kinder, more curious about Indian culture. Bheem meets her through a chance encounter, and there's a spark there. Jenny starts helping Bheem navigate the world of the British elite, not knowing that she's actually helping a man who's plotting to attack her uncle's mansion. There's a genuine tenderness between them. She sees past his disguise to something real. And Bheem, despite himself, starts to care for her too. It's complicated, it's unexpected, and it adds this whole other layer of emotional stakes to an already loaded situation. But the clock is ticking. The British are getting impatient. Catherine keeps asking about her little singing girl, and Governor Scott is pressuring his officers to find the tribal insurgent. Raju is ordered to get closer to the suspect. They've narrowed it down to the area where Bheem is hiding, and bring him in. And this is where Raju's world starts cracking, because he's realizing something terrible. The man he's supposed to catch might be someone close to him. Very close. But before that devastating truth comes crashing down, we get one of the greatest scenes in the history of cinema. And I am not exaggerating. The British governor throws a lavish party. Crystal chandeliers, champagne, the whole colonial spectacle. Raju brings Bheem along, still not knowing his true identity, and they walk into this world of British high society. And almost immediately, the British guests start mocking them. Can't dance properly, wrong clothes, wrong skin colour. You know the drill. One British officer challenges them to a dance-off, just to humiliate them. And Raju and Bheem look at each other with this look that says, "Oh, you have no idea what you just started." And then, Naatu begins. I don't know how to describe this to you if you haven't seen it. It's not just a dance, it's a declaration of war through rhythm. Raju and Bheem explode into this high-energy, foot-stomping, arm-swinging Telugu folk dance that is so fast, so precise, so impossibly synchronized that the British officers who challenged them literally collapse from exhaustion trying to keep up. One by one, the colonizers fall, and Raju and Bheem just keep going, faster, higher, more joyful, more defiant. 100 distinct choreographed moves, 65 days to film this single sequence, and when it played at the Oscars in 2023, it won Best Original Song, the first song from an Indian film to ever win that award, the first Asian song, period. 123 million YouTube views, TikTok challenges everywhere, and here's what makes it special. It's not just spectacle. It's two Indian men dancing their oppressors into the ground with their own culture. It's joy as resistance. It's absolutely magnificent. But the joy doesn't last, because this story isn't a fairy tale, and the next chapter is going to hurt. While all of this has been unfolding, Bheem has been working on something in the shadows. A plan so audacious, so completely unhinged, that only a man raised in the wild forests of India could dream it up. He and his tribal men have been venturing into the forests outside Delhi at night, capturing wild animals. Wolves, deer, and, I need you to brace yourself for this, a full-grown Bengal tiger. There's this sequence in the forest that is pure cinema. Bheem is tracking the tiger through dense undergrowth. The wolf appears first, snarling, circling, and chases Bheem through the trees. Then the tiger arrives and the wolf scatters. Now it's just Bheem and this massive, furious predator. His men throw a net, but the stake holding it rips from the ground. The ropes are sliding through their hands, and Bheem, this absolute madman, he grabs the ropes himself. He plants his feet and holds the tiger. The rope snaps, and instead of running, Bheem gets close enough to look this beast in the eyes. He wraps his arms around it. He holds it. He calms it with his presence until the tiger, this 400-pound killing machine, lies down and falls asleep. I don't know about you, but I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. This man is not messing around. Rajamouli uses this scene to tell you everything you need to know about Komaram Bheem. He has the strength of the earth itself and an unbreakable connection to the natural world. So here's Bheem's plan, and it is bold and absolutely insane. He's collected all these animals, the wolves, the tiger, everything, and he's going to unleash them inside the governor's mansion during a grand gathering. Total chaos, screaming guests, and in that confusion, he's going to grab Malli and vanish. And it works, partially. The animals burst into the mansion like a flood. The tiger crashes through the ballroom, smashing tables, sending crystal flying. Wolves pour through the corridors. British guests are screaming, scrambling onto furniture, climbing curtains. It's pandemonium, and through it all, Bheem moves like a shadow, cutting through the chaos toward Malli. For a moment, just a moment, it looks like he might actually pull it off. But Raju is there, and by now, he knows. He's figured it out. His best friend, his brother, the man he rescued that child with, the man he danced with at that party. That man is the tribal insurgent he's been ordered to capture. And Raju makes his choice. He chooses duty. He steps in front of Bheem, and for the first time, these two brothers face each other as enemies. The fight that follows is devastating, not because of the punches, though those are brutal. It's devastating because you can see it in their eyes. Every blow costs them something. Bheem fights with the fury of a man betrayed. Raju fights with the precision of a man who's dying inside. Bheem loses. He's captured, chained, dragged before the governor. And the British are thrilled. Their loyal officer Raju has delivered the terrorist. Promotion incoming. But then comes the scene that will break you. The British decide to make an example of Bheem, a public punishment, and they order Raju, his best friend, to administer it. In front of a massive crowd, Raju is handed a whip and he is told to flog the prisoner. And he does it, lash after lash. Bheem's back tears open. The crowd watches in horror. Bheem's holy thread, the sacred thread they both wear, binding them to their shared culture, is visible around his neck. A reminder of everything they share, everything Raju is destroying. But Bheem doesn't break. He doesn't beg. Instead, he starts to sing, a Telugu folk song, quietly at first, then louder. And the crowd, the Indian crowd, they start singing with him. One voice becomes 10, 10 becomes 100. And in that moment, Raju realizes something. He hasn't broken Bheem's spirit, he's only made it stronger. Now here's the part that changes everything. Remember how I said Raju wasn't truly loyal to the British? Here's the truth. The whole time, the entire time, Raju has been playing the longest game imaginable. He joined the British police force not out of loyalty, but out of strategy. His goal, his real goal, was to rise high enough in the ranks to gain access to the British armory. He wanted to steal weapons, guns, ammunition, and smuggle them to Indian revolutionaries so the common people could finally fight back. Every promotion, every salute to the British flag, every order he followed, it was all a mask. And capturing Bheem, betraying his best friend, was the price of that mask. But the question is, does Bheem know this? Does he understand that Raju's betrayal was actually the greatest sacrifice of all? Not yet, not at first. Bheem sits in that cell, wounded, furious, heartbroken. He believes his friend sold him out, and honestly, can you blame him? The man whipped him in front of 1,000 people. But the truth has a way of finding the light. Through a series of events, through whispers and messages, and the kinds of things that happen when the universe wants two brothers to find their way back to each other, Bheem learns the full story. He learns about Raju's secret mission. He learns about the weapons. He learns that Raju was willing to destroy his own soul to save his people. And when that realization hits, when Bheem finally understands, it's like a second dam breaking. All that rage, all that hurt, it transforms into something else entirely. Purpose. Bheem is going to rescue Raju. Because by now, the British have figured out Raju's double game. He's been arrested, beaten, sentenced to death. The man who sacrificed everything is now alone in a cell, waiting to die. But Bheem has help. Jenny, the governor's niece, who has grown to care for Bheem. She helps him infiltrate the British compound. And Bheem comes, not as a desperate man, but as a force of nature. The guardian of the Gond tribe. The man who wrestled tigers. And then Raju's fiancée Sita, his cousin who has loved him and waited for him. She plays her own crucial role. When British forces come searching, she lies to them, tells them the area is plagued with smallpox, buys precious time for the escape. The rescue is violent and beautiful and desperate. Bheem tears through soldiers like paper. He finds Raju chained, barely alive. And in that moment, when their eyes meet again, everything else falls away. The betrayal, the whipping, the months of pain. Gone. They're brothers again. And now the British should be terrified. Because these two men, who were nearly unstoppable on their own, are now fighting together. And they are furious. The climax of RRR is the kind of thing that makes you forget you're watching a movie, makes you forget you're sitting on your couch, makes you forget to breathe. Raju and Bheem storm Governor Scott's fortress. Not with an army, not with a plan, really. Just the two of them, fueled by rage, friendship, and 100 years of colonial injustice. And here's what Rajamouli does that's genius. He ties their fighting styles to the elements. Bheem is water. He fights with the raw power of the earth, fists like boulders, feet like tree roots. He charges through soldiers like a river breaking through a dam. When he picks up a weapon, it becomes an extension of the forest itself. Raju is fire. He fights with precision, with fury, with arrows that never miss. He moves like flame, unpredictable, consuming, impossible to contain. Water and fire, earth and sky, separately they were dangerous. Together? Together they are a natural disaster in human form. They tear through the governor's troops. Wave after wave of British soldiers fall. They demolish the barracks. They set fires that light up the Delhi sky. Bheem throws men across courtyards like rag dolls. Raju unleashes a hail of flaming arrows that turns the fortress walls into an inferno. And step by step, room by room, they reduce that mansion, that gleaming, monstrous monument to colonial power, to rubble and ash. And when Raju finally faces Governor Scott, the man who stole Malli, who tortured Bheem, who tried to destroy everything they loved, there is no mercy, no negotiation, no dramatic villain speech, just justice, swift and absolute. Scott's fortress falls, his army scatters. Catherine, the woman who started all of this by wanting to own a little girl like a trinket, watches her world crumble around her. And somewhere in those burning halls, the British Empire loses just a little more of its grip on India. And somewhere in the chaos, Malli is found, the little girl with the voice of an angel, alive, scared but alive. Bheem lifts her into his arms, and for the first time in the entire film, he smiles. A real smile, the kind that makes you cry because you've been waiting so long to see it. After the fire dies down, after the dust settles, there's a quiet moment between Raju and Bheem. Bheem turns to his friend, the man he hated, the man he loved, the man who whipped him and saved him in the same lifetime, and he apologizes for doubting him, for not seeing the truth sooner. And Raju just looks at him, because what do you say? What words are there for a friendship that survived that? They stand together, two men who were supposed to be enemies, two men who the British Empire tried to use against each other, two men who found their way back to brotherhood, not in spite of their suffering, but through it. Now here's the part that gives this story its real weight. The real Alluri Sitarama Raju. He was a revolutionary who led the Rampa Rebellion of 1922 against British forest laws that stripped tribal people of their land rights. The locals called him Manyam Virudu, the hero of the jungle. He was captured and killed by the British in 1924. He was only 26 years old. And the real Komaram Bheem? He was a Gond tribal leader who fought against both the British and the Nizams of Hyderabad. He spread the message of Jal, Jangal, Zameen, water, forest, land, a rallying cry for indigenous rights that is still used in India today. He was killed by the Nizam's army in the forests he loved. The entire district was renamed in his honor in 2016. These were real men, real heroes. They never met. They fought their battles alone, in different forests, against different enemies. But Rajamouli looked at their stories and saw the same fire burning in both of them. And he asked, what if that fire had found its twin? RRR was made on a budget of $73 million, the most expensive Indian film at the time. It took over 300 days to shoot across Hyderabad, Delhi, Bulgaria, the Netherlands, and Ukraine. 75 of those days were devoted entirely to action sequences. Rajamouli and his team pre-visualized every single stunt, animated it, rehearsed it, filmed it with stunt performers, edited it, set it to music, before the actors ever stepped on set. That's not movie making, that's architecture. And the world noticed. RRR earned $175 million worldwide. It held a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. It trended in over 90 countries on streaming platforms. 18 million watch hours globally. It became the most popular non-English film in the world on Netflix. And that Oscar win for Naatu, that wasn't just an award, that was a door being kicked open. An Indian song, a Telugu song, standing on the biggest stage in entertainment and telling the world, "We've been making magic this whole time, you just weren't paying attention." You know what gets me about this film? It's not the action, though the action is some of the best ever put on screen. It's not the spectacle, though the spectacle will leave your jaw on the floor. It's the friendship. It's two men who had every reason to destroy each other, choosing love instead. Choosing brotherhood. Choosing to fight side by side against the real enemy. Not each other, but the system that tried to divide them. In a world that's constantly trying to tell us who our enemies are, RRR whispers something different. It says, look closer. The person standing across from you might not be your enemy at all. They might be your brother. They might be the one person in the world who understands your fight, because they're fighting the same one. Rajamouli once said that coordination itself is a choreography, and that's exactly what this film is. A choreography of two souls, moving in perfect rhythm, even when the world tries to pull them apart. If you haven't seen RRR yet, clear your schedule, get comfortable, and prepare yourself for 3 hours of the most exhilarating, emotional, jaw-dropping cinema you have ever experienced. And if you have seen it, tell me. Drop it in the comments. What was the scene that got you? Was it the bridge rescue? Naatu? The whipping scene? That final battle? I want to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share this with someone who needs to discover this film. Because some stories are meant to be told around a fire, and this one burns brighter than most. Rise, roar, revolt.